Welcome to a new video in my home automation series, and today I'm doing a Sonoff review, which I think it's a long overdue, mostly because this Zigbee thermostatic radiator valve has been on the market for probably even more than a year, and just some reason it was never really offered to me. And I already reviewed like two different very similar looking radiator valves in different ecosystems. So I think I had a Mohs Tuya one and also a Shelly one. And this is also very similar, but I think they managed to do some, nice little quirks that fits well within the Sonoff ecosystem or the eWeLink software. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a quick review of, how the unit looks like and how it works in the eWeLink application. And usually I do iHost and some other systems as well, but I decided that I'm going to break this up into a separate video. So there is going to be a separate video where I look at how it looks like in the iHost. So if you want to use it in the Sonoff iHost, then how it behaves. And actually I have some really good ideas how you can enhance the functionality with a little bit of use of Node-RED in the iHost. So that's probably going to be like a third video or something like that. And of course, I should really look at it in Zigbee to MQTT, but probably I'm going to bundle that into the iHost video. Okay, so let's start with the eWeLink Sonoff, the eWeLink part of the review now. So this is a thermostatic radiator valve, and this is a Zigbee version. So this is a kind of thing which goes onto the radiator valve. And obviously this is my radiator valve, which I bought in the hardware store, so that doesn't come with the unit. And the whole thing about this guy is that it measures temperature, and then you can use the knob to set the set temperature. I'm going to show you that you can see that. And then it controls the valve, so it opens or closes the valve to the radiator in order to regulate the temperature in the room. And let me just so I shut off the light so you can better see the display. It's a really nice display, and actually when I take it apart you're going to see it's like a 7-segment display, but these small dots which make out this sort of like imprint is actually in the case of this unit. So you have a rotary button here, and also you can push this one for various different functions that we are going to review. And to be honest, it's a nice looking unit. I really like the fact that how the these displays is on the top, and then when it goes sort of like sleep, it turns off the display, then it's completely invisible, and you just have this very white minimalistic looking cylinder with a Sonoff logo on the top. Okay, so I turn the lights back on so we can see a little bit more. And as I said, this comes with the without the valve, obviously, and I can disassemble like that. So I just picked this random valve from a hardware store. So this is what you get in the box. So it has a color, and you can see that's the plunger which operates the valve, so that black thing. So that comes up and down as the valve opens or closes, and then pushes on this plunger which is on the radiator valve. So this is spring loaded, so it will push back when to default position. So if you have the same type of radiator valve that I have here, which is, Jesus, I probably like a 3/8, quarter inch. Oh, no, I wouldn't tell because I don't know anything about plumbing and these sizes, so I don't know what size this is. But if you happen to have a different radiator valve, then within the box, beside this unit, you get a lot of different adapters. So if I open this one, so here, this is where the radiator valve is, and you can see that there is a bit of documentation. And in here you get a ton of different adapters for different valves. So you can see different threads, and yeah, so most probably you will be able to find the one that is needed for your radiator valve. But as I said, I'm not really a plumber, so I can't really comment on this one. And if you go online, you probably can find the list of different adapters that the unit comes with. So let me talk about the setup, because obviously it is not as easy as just another relay. I mean, at least we don't have to do wiring, but there is a couple of steps how you set this up. So you push this button here, and then you can slide the top off, and that's where you find the battery compartment. So these are 3 AA batteries, and you have a QR code here as well. And actually that's the display, you know, where the numbers are going to show through. And yeah, so you put the batteries in, and then you slide this top back on. Make sure that you align this tab with these, and then you just push, and yeah, and then it clicks in. And of course you screw it on to the valve. And at this point, actually I have to refer to the documentation, because it's also nicely you know, mentioned here how you install the batteries, and then you put onto the radiator valve. And then you short press on the little button until you see this AD text, and that's where the calibration starts. So that's basically so the device is going to move this plunger to, you know, to test the extent of your valve, you know, how much it needs to move that valve stem in order to open or close the valve. So you obviously do this after you install this on the valve. So my recommendation is maybe you install first, and then you put the batteries in, and then you can do the initial calibration. And once that is done, then you can turn the knob until you see the off position. And after that, you press and hold that middle button for 3 seconds, and that's where it's going to go into the pairing mode. And this is a Zigbee device, so you need a Zigbee gateway in order to use it. And this is why I have this Sonoff NS panel here. But again, you can use any of the Zigbee hubs, the Zigbee Bridge Ultra, or any of the older Zigbee bridges, or another NS Panel Pro, I mean obviously the vertical one. So I choose to use this NS Panel Pro, and here you can use the app as well to add the new device, or if for the NS Panel Pro you you swipe from the top, and then you say add device and start pairing. And then if the TRV is in the pairing mode, then it's going to be found fairly quickly. And that should be the end of the setup process. And if I show you this, this is how it shows up in the NS Panel Pro. So it shows up as a thermostat screen. So you can change between the temperature, the modes. You can see the temperature that it measures, and you can also change the set temperature here. So if so as I change it here, you can see, I mean, it's really, you can see how the display changes. I accidentally moved it to 31 degrees, and you can't really hear it. Maybe you can hear a little bit of motor noise. So this is where the motor is actually, you know, turning the valve stem. But I mean, it is really, really silent. But with this, the initial setup is complete. So we can head over to the mobile application and see how it looks like in the eWeLink app. So here in my eWeLink application, you can see the TRVZB, so that's the default name, I haven't renamed it. And if I go, I can see pretty much the same screen as I have seen on the NS Panel Pro. I mean, of course, it's a different thing, but I see the same set of screen features. So on the top, you can see that the device is off now, or the valve is basically off, because it measures 24 degrees in the room, and we want the set temperature is set to 13 degrees. So obviously no heating is required, so the valve is closed. And if I use the plus buttons to change the set temperature to maybe, like, I go above 24, let's say 26, then I can actually hear the motor working at the moment. So now the status is heating. So it has opened up the valve, and then the hot water can flow into the radiator. So that's the basic screen. You can just use the plus and the minus button to change the set temperature in the set temperature in the thermostat, and that's going to regulate, open or close the valve depending on the temperature measured versus the set temperature. So let's see all the other features that we can have here. So on the bottom part of the screen, we can change between the modes. So the manual mode is when you set the temperature. The auto mode when it follows a temperature curve throughout the day. So, maybe colder in the morning or, colder overnight, and then it gets a little bit warmer in the morning when you get up, and then maybe it goes to colder as well if you leave the house for work and that sort of stuff. And you can also have an off mode with a frost protection. So it will still open up the valve in order to prevent freezing, but a valve freezing condition is going to be off. And in the smart schedule, this is how you can set that schedule that is going to be used in the auto mode, what I mentioned. And you can see the different temperatures that you can create. And it also creates this nice chart. So you can see that from midnight to 7 o'clock, it's going to be 16 degrees. And from 7 to 10 o'clock, it's going to be 90 degrees. And from 10 o'clock to 5 p.m. in the afternoon, it's going to be 16 degrees again. So you can set this temperature curve basically. And anytime you want to change something, you can change the time. And of course, you can change the temperature as well. So now I just increased that this morning schedule from 7 to 10 to 20.5 degrees. So yeah, oops. So it's quite nice. And then you can do these schedules for each day of the week. So obviously it's going to be different for weekdays, and then for Saturday and Sunday you can have it different. And you have a button here to save, so on the top, and you also have a button to also copy the schedule. So this copy the schedule actually works between devices, which again makes sense because if you have multiple of these, then most probably, let's say in a living room and a bedroom, you probably want to have separate temperatures. So once you make the changes on one device, then you can copy the changes over to another device as well. And as you can see here, you can also long press on a date and on a day, and that will allow you to copy that day's settings to other days. So you set it for Monday and you can copy it to Tuesday to Friday. You can do the same with Saturday and Sunday as well. Okay, so this is actually, I do like this user interface. I think it's nice and intuitive, and that color thing is a nice feedback of how you set the temperatures. The next one is the next function here is the statistics, where it basically can show you historical records, and that's the same historical records that you get for a temperature sensor. So it shows you what is the temperature and the set temperature. The reason it only has these few values because I wasn't using it for a long time, so it just doesn't have all the data because it's a fairly new device for me. And also it shows you like a battery projection, battery usage, but again, since this is a pretty new device, it doesn't really have any data for me at the moment. And you can see on the top here, you also have a download functionality, so you can export the data into, let's say, for example, a CSV file. Okay, that's good. And that's pretty much it. So next we can go into the settings and see how we can, change this device, change the behavior. So I just double click on the three dots on the top. You see that there is, I think since I own this device, there was two firmware version updates. So we are at 1.3.0 at the moment. You can see the signal strength as well. There is a thing for the battery inside where you can set what batteries you are using. I mean, I don't know why you can change this. I mean, for this particular model, it only accepts AA batteries, but that's again a functionality that is shared across multiple devices. And yeah, you can purchase battery as well. There is some links here how you buy batteries on AliExpress or on Amazon. So yeah, I don't find this particularly interesting, to be honest. The next option here in the settings is actually quite interesting and quite novel, where although I won't be able to use it because if you see on the top, it says that it only works in the French region. And basically it has two main screens. One is power supply forecast. So that's it's going to tell you how stable the electricity grid is, assuming that you are heating with electricity, let's say with a heat pump. So you can see that it has green, orange, and red. So, maybe you can come here and see if there are any issues with the grid and it's likely to go down. And if you would monitor this, maybe you can make a decision that, there's going to be an issue with the grid. So I might want just to increase the temperature a little bit just to heat up the house in order to survive a power cut. Something like that. To be honest, I don't know how useful this is going to be on an everyday basis. And there is a similar thing for the gas forecast as well. So you can see the different options here. Again, if you have like a gas boiler, then this lower part of the screen would apply to you. I mean, I would love to see this, especially if instead of just screens, it has some other data as well. I'm not sure how I would be able to find out if there are any issues in France. But anyway, moving on, we can change the usual things like what is the location of the device. We can create groups as well. So again, if you have one for every single radiator, you can group them together so you can change temperature and that sort of stuff at the same time. You have a temperature calibration, so you can calibrate the inside sensor if you feel that it's constantly showing, higher or lower temperature. So you can do a calibration here. You can do a child lock, so the user will not be able to change the temperature here. So you say it says LC, so locked, so it doesn't allow you to change the temperature using the knob. There is also an open window protection. So again, the device is going to monitor the temperature, and if it feels that the temperature is falling sharply, then it assumes that the window is open. So it's going to turn off the valve because, well, if the window is open, you shouldn't be, putting more energy into heating the room. You have a frost protection as well, so that's the frost protection mode. So even though it's going to turn off the valve, it will make sure that at least, in this case, 7 degrees is maintained in the room. And you also have, and that's also an interesting feature, so valve opening percentage. It's a little bit difficult to understand, but what it says here is that if this unit opens the valve, it's going to open the valve 100%, and if it closes, it will going to close it 100%. So if for any reason you want to limit how much it opens, because maybe you don't want to use, maybe that particular radiator is using too much hot water, you want to limit how much it opens. Maybe it should just open 50%. Or if you don't want the radiator to be closed all the way down, because maybe you need to keep a certain amount of circulation in the system, so then you can change the closing percentage to a lower value than 100%. So that's an interesting one. Again, probably very few people are going to use it, but if you need that specific functionality, I haven't seen anything like this anywhere else. So that's actually a nice one. And the last setting is also a very good setting. It's very similar to what we have seen on Shelly as well, but which is that if you think that this the sensor inside the thermostatic radiator valve is not really a good representation of the room temperature, then you can assign a different temperature sensor to this device. So it will turn the valve on and off based on this external sensor, which you can place anywhere in the room. So I don't know, maybe the room is really drafty and it's usually very warm where you have the radiator, but then maybe it's cold in another part of the room. Then you buy in this case, a Zigbee temperature sensor, and you use that as an external sensor. So that's a nice functionality. I think it's, so you have a lot of different options. You have the calibration to overrule the temperature measurement, if using the calibration is sufficient, or otherwise you would use an external sensor. And, going back, and that's basically the end of the settings. So again, really good set of functionalities, a lot of different small options, how you can tweak this radiator valve to make sure that it fits your needs. And with this, we almost get to the end of this review, but usually I look at what's available in the scenes. So let's say what triggers this device offers. So, not tap to perform, but smart device, TRV. And so you can create an automation or a scene if the status changes, so if the valve opens or closes, and then if the temperature changes. So I think this top one is probably the most important one, because if I do this, then let's say if my thermostatic radiator valve, it goes into heating mode, which means that it opens up the valve, then you might want to, let's say, instruct the furnace to start. So you can have like a smart relay, for example, a Sonoff Mini D that I just reviewed recently. So I can do Sonoff Mini D and I can turn it on. And let's assume that that Sonoff Mini D is connected to the furnace. So it closes and it sends a signal for the furnace to, start working, start heating the water. And of course, it will circulate the water into the radiator because the radiator valve is now open. So that would be a simple, automation to use the TRV in order to send signals to your boiler. So it only works when the valve is open. And of course, you can have here in the conditions, it says any condition is met, which means that you can add another TRV and basically set up a routine which says if any of my TRVs are in heating mode, so if any of my valve is open, then I need to turn on the heating. And of course you can do the other way around. So if my TRV is off, then I also want the boiler to be off because, well, you're not going to use hot water. There is no point for the boiler to keep heating the water, so you can just turn off and go back to standby mode. And here what you would set is that if all conditions are met, and you can list all your TRVs with the status off. So if all of them are off, then your boiler doesn't need to be running anymore, so you can turn it off. So these are the two automations that you can do with multiple TRVs and controlling, for example, a boiler. So that's nice. Let me remove this, and because I also want to see what's available in the as an action, which is Smart Device TRVZ. So you can change the modes, auto, frost, or protection, and you can also change the set temperature. Working mode, manual, and I can set the set temperature. So again, that's also quite useful because you can group the devices together, but if you don't want to group them together, maybe you want to have a button on your screen which says, set all my thermostats to off. Then you can, do a scene like this. So tap to perform, and then the TRVZ mode is set to off or frost protection. And of course you can list all your TRVs here. So yeah, with a tap of a button, you can turn the heating off on all your thermostats. Or you can do the other way around. Let's say I want to do it in auto mode. So again, maybe before you leave your work, there is a button here on the screen. You push that button and then it turns all your TRVs to on mode, and then it's going to start heating your room. So I think these are decent set of options here in the scenes as well. You can control most of the important functions of your radiator valve, and you can also get some useful triggers from this radiator valve. And this pretty much concludes my review of this Zigbee radiator valve from Sonoff. If you are interested in this product, you will find purchasing links in the video description. But I think that should be all for today. And as I said, there will be follow-up videos on this product, on how it works on iHost and some iHost stuff. So if you're interested in those, just make sure that you keep following, and those videos will come shortly as well. But that will be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.